The one and only Multiverse presents a grand unified theory. The birth of stars. And so it begins. All the evidence points to the existence of gravity and anti-gravity, as the cause and conclusion of spontaneous fusion. Web page and video are not AI generated. Your host, Richard E. Noer. Old outdated thinking. In the early expanding universe, most scientists believe there was hydrogen, helium, and lithium. It is theorized that energy from a singularity created a primal soup of substance, and this substance in turn created quarks, leptons, and bosons. Now, in this subatomic world, these particles aligned in different ways to create protons, neutrons, electrons, and neutrinos. Next, it is theorized that these particles now have all the ingredients to then produce the primary elements of hydrogen, helium, and lithium. TM says, this theory has some major flaws, and violates too many rules to be credible. Here at TM we use different criteria for handling and forecasting the unknown. TM theory, all the evidence from the new James Webb Telescope concludes that parts of the universe are much older than 14 billion years, and that galaxies have been forming and dying for more billions of years. Because there are so many observable galaxies in a small region of sky, and in different states of evolution, it is obvious that the universe as we know it, and theorize, cannot exist. In other words, the single Big Bang, evolving and dying universe is wrong. B. The only answer to this dilemma is, the universe, a single entity, is a multiverse. A multiverse has no beginning, no end, and no singularity evolution. It is multiple Big Bangs in different states of development. A multiverse is a perpetual state of existence. Because of evolution history, and all man's knowledge of matter, energy, space, and a magnetic spatial force, there is only one credible solution. The universe's existence itself. It is in a constant state of evolving, with no beginning and no end. A perpetual state of existence. With this new knowledge, we can now go on and explain how stars are created and die. After a black star goes supernova in parts of a multiverse, dark matter particles from primal space are created. They join up with the ones that are set loose from the former black star, and expand their space faster than the speed of light. This is what contributes to the vast expanse of the multiverse. In this space, after the particles evolve strings, ropes, and chains, they create protons, electrons, and quantum fields, but no neutrons. Now there are only universal dark matter particles, protons, electrons, polarized space, and quantum magnetic fields. Quarks, leptons, and bosons, neutrons and lithium are not part of the basic evolutionary mixture of matter and energy. B. Now, as you know, hydrogen, the fundamental element, primal hydrogen, is the very first evolutionary atom. It was formed out of primitive structures of bonded and open strings, along with tiny spinning material particles with a magnetic force. It has one proton, one electron, no neutron, and quantum fields, that's it. There are no other ingredients, these are the basic components to form a first-generation star. All that's missing is gravity and the force of expansion. XCP-Dark Energy. These energies occur when the expansion of this part of the cosmos relaxes and starts a compressing force. Now it gets interesting. Because of the cosmic dark energy expansion force, neutrons and neutrinos haven't evolved yet. It takes compression of the proton and or electrons to create these particles. This specific energy can only happen in a fusion or fission compression event, as previously explained. This means in the early universe, helium, deuterium, and lithium can't exist because they all require neutrons. For a complete explanation on how the first evolutionary stars are created, see the quantum fields page, item 8. And so it begins. Dark energy has three properties: expansion, compression, and a potential force. It is also the force that causes compacting pressure in a rotating hydrogen cloud. As the cloud rotation increases, it creates a polar gravity flow in space, which pulls on dark matter particles. This in turn creates an internal, external polar magnetic flow in the cloud. As the cloud rotates faster, the polar flow pulls more and more dark matter particles from the expanse. This compresses them as they enter and travel through the center of the spinning cloud. So now we have streaming gravity and the compacting of inner cloud space, and a spinning pushing anti-gravity current as you approach the exit pole. This creates a flexible barrier of inner compacted dark energy space, and the external, compacting, centrifugal flow of the spinning hydrogen cloud's perimeter. C. When incoming available hydrogen from space is depleted, accelerated spinning will stop. Depending on the amount of active and potential energy that's available from the cloud, perimeter hydrogen may start to fuse into helium. This is because of the pushing force of the compacted interior hydrogen, runs into the compacted quantum fields that gravity created from space. If the cloud had enormous quantities of fusible hydrogen available, and XCP-Dark energy is adequate, one of the cornerstones of universal evolution will be realized, the creation of stars. D. First to second, third, and fourth generation stars are a certainty. Rotating primal hydrogen clouds, gravity anti-gravity currents, and dark energy forces, are not a fanciful prediction, they are backed up by super strong relative evidence of energy, matter, and magnetism. To find out how hydrogen becomes helium, visit the quantum field page, item 8. So, the conclusion is, the very first evolutionary stars that formed had to be proton fusion stars only. B. As stars are born and create elements, they use up their hydrogen and their dark energy diminishes. After they lose this pushing force, and there is still lots of gravity from space, magnetic lock failure most likely will occur in the star's peripheral fields. Bang! I say most likely because there is an exception, small stars with less gravity from space will not produce a nuclear explosion in these fields. C. Supernova events 1 and 2, after SML failure occurs in a star's outer fields, a compression force of what's left of the stellar body, produces even more neutrons in addition to the ones created by fusion. This abundance of young neutrons with higher potential energy, can pair up with protons that have the same energy level. This is what creates heavier elements. Depending on the volume of hydrogen left after SML failure, these first-generation stars can even create black stars. In the case of second, third, and even fourth-generation stars, there are more elements in their forming cores, but it's the primal hydrogen proton gravity, and a polar, internal, external, gravity anti-gravity flow, that kicks things off. This is because a spinning hydrogen cloud can be enhanced by flowing polar currents, thus contracting, compacting internal space. The changing DMI is produced by the dark energy phenomena. B. And finally, it is doubtful that spontaneous fusion could occur if basic protons of the younger part of the cosmos were paired with a neutron. This is because the single proton, neutron, and its quantum fields have a strong, stable, magnetic lock. The Sun's heat energy and its gravity, anti-gravity. A very important observation that needs to be properly explained. Temperatures. Undisputed observations. Are you ready for this? This is a big one. The Sun's corona has a temperature of 6 million degrees Celsius. Inner corona, 10,000 degrees, lower corona, 4,000 degrees, and at the surface, the temperature is only 5,778 degrees Celsius. What is going on with our Sun? TM predicts in all fusion stars, their gravitational attraction stops in the fusion zone. This is the area where there is equal XCP dark energy. An oscillating pulling, pushing force. As hydrogen nuclei and plasma from space are pulled into the Sun, and get closer to the star's fusion zone, they increase spin, and push-pull oscillating magnetism. Heat. Most of the intense light and heat you observe is coming from the corona, and is a direct result of atomic and subatomic particle compression, contraction with their concentrated heat. B. When space particles, and/or structures run into the Sun's expansion zone, caused by nuclear fusion, they produce even more dense energy but heat diminishes. Why? It's because rapidly spinning, push-pull magnetic fields start to smooth out. In this area, it is the gravity from space that is responsible for tearing apart incoming particle structures, which in turn creates atomic nuclei and subatomic particles along with increased light heat and magnetic force from all. Then there is the expanding force of extra quantum particle fields from the fusion consolidation of the star. C. As you know by now, increasing spherical particle numbers and mass has a cooling effect with diminishing heat. Also, fast and faster spinning atomic nuclei, at some point, will diminish heat because the push-pull magnetic force will smooth out. This is why the James Webb Telescope in space has such an extreme range of heat. Spinning atomic nuclei produce lots of push-pull magnetic fields, but the spinning dark matter particles in space does not. On the other hand, there are streaming gravity currents with XCP-Dark energy forces. This pulls on the atomic structure of the spacecraft and produces heat. The sun side of the spacecraft has a temperature of 122 degrees Fahrenheit, and the shaded side of the spacecraft has a temperature of -449 degrees. Now for a major rethink of the Standard Model. TM says, in the core of the Sun, all fusion stars, there is no support for proton-neutron creation or pairing. Yes, that is exactly what we are predicting. This is because of dark energy compression, and the high potential energy of atoms that are still in a SML state. There is too much spin and compression of protons and quantum fields, therefore there is no ability for DMI to merge. As a protostar decompresses, the protons and quantum fields in the outer perimeter fields become fluid with more oscillating spatial energy. Then, and only then, are the atoms capable of DMI intermingling. The external proton quantum ring field must be able to oscillate between an attraction and repelling spatial force. That's why fusion occurs in the star's outer fields only, not in the core. It is important to note at this point in TM theory, spontaneous fusion will stop with the creation of iron, even though other atomic quantum fields may have some compressed hydrogen. This is because of the protons, neutron internal spin and DMI. This level of proton energy was set at the moment of proton formation from the remnant of a black star supernova. Gravity stops when the proton internal spin has no more spatial compatibility. Level 1 Gravity. Gravity can't, and will not run away with itself. Gravity is a pulling current, force of dark matter, particle attraction. In the case of second, third, or even fourth generation stars, there are usually, but not always, heavier elements that reside in the cores of active stars. These atoms were made in supernova explosions and are not capable of sustaining a fusion reaction at gravity level 1, but they can intermingle at gravity level 2. This level of fusion, in turn, will enrich the cosmos when released from their captivity. As you know, these elements are abundant in our own solar system and star. Fitting all these observations with known science, evolution, relativity, mathematical plausibility, and logic, shows there is no room for error. With each piece of the puzzle in place, the factor of uncertainty goes down. It is the conclusion of the multiverse, and overwhelming evidence, that there is no support for fusion reactions to take place in a star's core. This is because of the density mass index. On the other hand, there is a mountain of evidence for peripheral fusion. Simply put, it fits with all we know, and with no known contradictions. Sunspots with magnetic prominence. What are sunspots? How are they created? Why are the dark spots dark? What are those oval light streaks? Now that we have an understanding about the sun's creation, and compression-decompression of hydrogen, along with gravity, anti-gravity and dark energy, we can go ahead and explain the phenomena of sunspots. To my knowledge, the Standard Model has never been clear about what's going on. This is because it was assumed that the core of the Sun is hotter than the perimeter. In TM theory, this is not the case. This is because of magnetic oscillations of gravity, anti-gravity with dark energy forces. As previously theorized, the internal stellar matter is compressed hydrogen, with little vibrating particle energy, but still spinning fast in a locked compressed state. This in turn accounts for the absence of light, but not the absence of hydrogen protons and their ring quantum fields. When they decompress and slow oscillations, they run into the gravitational energy from space. The hydrogen atoms fuse into helium. This releases copious amounts of hydrogen, helium plasma. It is unification, compression of helium quantum fields, that produces the extreme light, heat, and magnetic force that we all observe. Starshine. Now it gets interesting. Because of anomalies, the swirling excess helium plasma in some instances concentrates in the foot of the Sun's chromosphere. There is nowhere to go but up. The swirling plasma pokes through the atmosphere and forms particle magnetic strings. This opens a hole in the chromosphere and exposes some of the Sun's inner region. It is darker there because the exposed hydrogen layer is still too compressed to vibrate in the light spectrum. Lastly, depending on the volume of excess plasma, and the amount of swirling magnetic spin energy the fusion process has created, determines the size and degree of the emanating, magnetic torus loops. That's it, the logical conclusion of sunspots. I know, this is not what scientists want to hear. TM says not so fast. You have to consider all evidence and don't try to fit it with dubious speculations of a star's internal activity. To my knowledge, the current thinking about a star's core energy is only a concept. There is no substantial proof to confirm traditional 100-year-old theories. TM says, when you add up all these observations and compare them with a powerful non-conflicting theory of the universe, guess what? It fits. Your host, Richard E. Noer. Young me. Mini me. Email, noerastronomy@gmail.com. Here in a multiverse, our goal is to find the cosmic truth. No matter where, or how far it takes you. The universe truly does unify. If you get the basics right.